Good afternoon everyone from the Lasala section. My name is Steve Jobs, representing Group 1. Today, me and my group mates will discuss Chapter 1. What do we mean by leadership? Leadership is defined as a complex phenomenon involving a leader, his or her followers, and a situation. Let's focus on why leadership is a complex phenomenon. Leadership is a complex phenomenon because it's extensively studied and heavily in psychology. It studies the concepts and effectiveness of leadership. It studies the leadership styles, and it also studies the effective leadership practices. And with that complexity, many researchers and many leaders have many different definitions of what leadership is. And here, in our presentation, we have three concepts of it, which I will be giving examples of it so we can better understand. So for our first concept is process by which an agent includes a subordinate to behave in a desired manner. Take for example, you're a student like me, and you are going to the library, and the library has a rule that you cannot talk loudly. So with that rule imposed by the school about not talking loudly in the library, you are behaving in a desired manner, desired by the school. Okay. Next concept, directing and coordinating the work of group members. For this, take for example, you are a group leader in a group reporting video, just like this. You as a leader must direct your members of what their work is. If they are researchers, they are reporters, they are technicians, or they are the editors. Now, you as a leader too must coordinate with those departments. The department of the researchers, you must coordinate them with the department of the reporters so they can report their findings. And for the technicians and the editors, so they can edit the video flawlessly like that. Okay. And for the last concept, the interpersonal relation in which others comply because they want to, not because they have to. For this, it's so important that you as a leader must develop and create an effective relationship with your employees, or in this case, your co-workers. Because if you don't have any good relationship with them, as a leader, your employees are just like forced to do their work, not because they want to, because they have to. And because they have to do their work, it can affect the team in their effectiveness by like having low morale, like having no motivation to do that work because they're just forced to do it. But compare that, if they are motivated to do the work because they want to, then it can affect your team in a good way. So that's the three concepts of leadership here described in the presentation. When I think of leaders, I think of cars and car engines, because without an engine, the car cannot move. It doesn't receive instructions on what to do because it has no engine. And in that case, if there is no leader, or you have an ineffective leader, there is disorganization, no communication, or slow communication to departments, and very low morale within the teams. So it's very important for you or for your team to have a dependent and responsible leader. And for our presentation, we have here three characteristics, or we have identified as characteristics that a leader must have. The first is actions that focus resources to create desirable opportunities. For you as a leader, let's say you work at a company, and a company gives you many resources to achieve your goals. So for you as a leader, you need to use those resources effectively to to create desirable opportunities for the company and for your team, so they can see how you are a very responsible and reliant leader. For second characteristic, creating conditions for a team to be effective. Just like the interpersonal relation concept, you must have an effective relationship with your employees because it can create a good work environment for them. By creating conditions for having a good environment, having good communication or communicating with your employees, giving them motivation to do their work, it can lead to an effective team. In the long term, it can affect them positively. And lastly, the last characteristic, the ability to engage employees, the ability to build teams, and the ability to achieve results. This by far, for me, is the most important characteristics a leader must have, because a leader is known to be communicating and coordinating through departments or through teams. So without the leader's ability to engage with employees, there's no communication, and like I said, there is disorganization. The ability to build teams, the leader must be able to build at least a community within their department or within their team to better build their work environment per se. And of course, the ability to achieve results. You as a leader must always achieve your results or achieve the team's result. And that's it actually. And lastly, before we end this leadership is, like I said, very complex. So complex that it's a social problem solving. Just like one of the leaders I mentioned, leadership is very complex. So that's why it's important that a leader is also a critical thinker, because if your team faces an obstacle, you, a leader, has the obligation to think of a way to overcome that obstacle. And that's for the leadership part. Next up is Mr. Tal.
Differences between successful managers and effective managers. What makes a manager? All of you may think that managers improve the department, right? All of us knows that. But what separates successful managers to effective managers? And effective managers make a real contribution to their organization's performance. But successful managers not only do that, but they get promoted quickly through the ranks, spend more time in organizational socializing and politicking, spend less time on traditional management responsibilities such as planning and decision making. So in layman's term, a successful manager not only produces or improves quality department, but he or she also improves the people in the department, the machinery inside the department, like that. Leadership is both a science and an art. According to Bass and Stockdale's Handbook of Leadership, theory, research, and managerial application cites approximately 8,000 studies on leadership. It reflects the scope of science of leadership. Leadership remains partly an art as well as a science. Some managers may be effective leaders without ever taking a course or training program in leadership. Some scholars in the field of leadership may be relatively poor leaders themselves. Skills in analyzing and responding to situations vary greatly across leaders. As leaders, they do not stem in the same place or in the same experiences. They build themselves up from different experiences. Each leader has his own experiences which is unique to him or her alone. That's why to have a leader is both a blessing and in of itself a curse, because you don't know what kind of experiences that leader stems from, what kind of hardship he or she went through. Leadership includes action and influences based on the reason and logic, as well as inspiration and passion. Since people are both rational and emotional, leaders use rational techniques and emotional appeals to influence followers. Leaders should weigh the rational and emotional consequences of their action, because aroused feelings can be used either positively or negatively, constructively or destructively. Example of this are some leaders have been able to inspire others to do deeds of great purpose and courage. The mere presence of a group can cause people to act differently than they are alone. Some scholars suggest that the very idea of leadership may be rooted in people's emotional needs. Lastly, romance of leadership may be culturally myth that has utility only until it affects how people create meaning about causal events in complex social systems. Now, this goes hand in hand to what I said earlier, that leaders stem from different environments and different experiences. Most of the time, leaders calculate what to do to achieve certain goals, and sometimes leaders just their risk themselves to do or to achieve what they want, because they are leaders. They have the power to inspire others, to lead others. They have the power to do that, and they know from their experiences what to do to make others do what they want or what they need. Distinction between managers and leaders. Managers, they mainly administer, maintain, control, have a short-term view, ask how and when, imitate, and accept the status quo. While leaders, on the other hand, they innovate, develop, inspire, have a long-term view, ask what and why, originate, and challenge the status quo. Both has their ups and downs. That's why it's very important to have both qualities of managers and leaders. While it's good to administer, it is also good to innovate. While it's good to develop, it may be good to maintain. While it's good to inspire, maybe it's much better to control. Maybe having a short-term view may be good now, but how about the long-term view? Don't just ask how and when. Ask what and why. Why do you need this instead of when do you need this? And instead of accepting the status quo, why not go beyond the status quo?
As explained earlier, the framework proposes that leadership effectiveness is not solely determined by the qualities of the leader, but arises from the interaction of the three essential elements. An example here is in groups, which refers to a subset of followers who have a stronger and more positive relationship with the leader. This subgroup experiences a high level of mutual influence, attraction, loyalty, commitment, and trust towards the leader. In other words, they have a stronger connection with the leader and are more aligned with the leader's goals, values, and vision. In-group members tend to receive more attention, support, and opportunities for development. While out-groups, on the other hand, consists of followers who do not share the same level of connection and positive relationship with the leader. They might feel somewhat disconnected or distant from the leader's influence. Out-group members might not experience the same degree of loyalty, commitment, or trust. And this can result in a perceived hierarchy among followers, with in-group members enjoying certain privileges or benefits that out-group members may not have. The interactional framework is that leadership is not solely determined by the qualities of the leader, but rather emerges from the dynamic interactions among the leader, the followers, and the situation. The overlapping circles in the framework symbolizes the intersections and the interplay between these three elements. The framework acknowledges that effective leadership arises from the mutual influence and adaptation among those three components. Well, in practical terms, this framework can be used to analyze and improve leadership in various contexts. By examining how the leaders and followers and the situation interact, one can identify areas for improvement, align leadership strategies with the needs of the group, and better understand the complex nature of these. And personality traits are partially innate. Genetics can influence cognitive abilities and personality traits. This statement implies a deterministic view, neglecting the significant impact of environmental factors in learning. Cognitive abilities and personality traits are also shaped by experiences, education, and personal development. Different environments can nurture or suppress different leadership qualities. Environments can influence leadership development. Well, this statement oversimplifies the relationship between environments and leadership qualities. Leadership skills are multifaceted and can be cultivated in a variety of contexts and not limited to specific environments. The notion of nurturing or suppressing suggests a one-way influence, whereas reality is more complex. Is the school of hard knocks. Challenges and failures can provide valuable learning experiences, although effective leadership is not solely learned through adversity. Formal education, mentorship, training programs, and other constructive experiences play crucial roles in leadership development. Relying exclusively on hardships as a source of leadership learning overlooks the diverse avenues for growth. As leaders are born and not. This idea implies that leadership skills and qualities are inherent and cannot be developed through learning, experience, or effort. While certain individuals might possess innate qualities that can contribute to leadership, effective leadership is not solely based on inherent traits. Leadership is a skill that can be developed, refined, and tailored to fit different situations and contexts. The view that leaders are exclusively born and not made ignores the dynamic and adaptable nature of leadership and disregards the value of learning, growth, and experience in becoming an effective leader. The second phrase is not entirely a myth, but it simplifies the influence of nature and nurture on behavior and leadership. Leadership involves a combination of inherent traits and learned behaviors. It's not just a matter of nature or nurture. It's the interaction between both. The term leadership myths pertains to widely held beliefs or misconceptions about what constitutes effective leadership. These myths often arise from oversimplifications, generalizations, or incomplete understandings of the complexities involved in leadership roles and responsibilities. The first myth is the term good leadership is all common sense. The expression becomes problematic as it simplifies the intricate and diverse characteristics of leadership. While common sense certainly contributes to effective leadership, narrowing leadership down to merely common sense dismisses the intricate abilities, traits, and expertise necessary for achieving successful leadership across different situations.
A leader, as an individual, plays a critical role in guiding and influencing others towards a common goal or vision. Here are some key aspects of leadership as an individual. Vision and purpose. A leader is responsible for establishing a clear vision and purpose that inspire and motivates others. They articulate a compelling direction and create sense of meaning and shared goals. Integrity and ethics. Leaders serve as role models by displaying high ethical standards and integrity. They act in accordance with their values and principles, which fosters trust and credibility among their followers. Communication. Effective communication is a vital skill for leaders. They must convey their vision, expectation, and ideas clearly and precisely to engage and inform their team members. Additionally, leaders should be a good listeners, encouraging an open dialogue and feedback. Decision making. Leaders often face complex situations that require quick and informed decision making. They analyze information, consider alternatives, and make sound judgments based on their interest of their team or organize. Continuous improvement. Great leaders are committed to self-improvement and the growth of their team. They seek feedback, reflect on their own performance, and actively seek opportunities to enhance their leadership skills.
Practitioners and scholars emphasize the interdependence between leadership and supervision, emphasizing the indispensable relationship they share. This recognition emphasizes that effective leadership depends on the active participation and cooperation of followers, while the quality and direction of leadership shape followers. This dynamic interaction between leader and follower forms the basis of successful collaborative efforts. In this slide, you'll see the following aspects of subordinates' influence the leadership process: expectations, personality traits, maturity level, skill level, and ultimately motivation. As you can see, there are two factors that matter. First, the number of followers report to the leader. The number of followers under a leader's supervision has a profound impact on motivated employees who adhere to shared goals and values and find intrinsic satisfaction in their work. With a manageable number of followers, Leaders can nurture direct relationships, build alignment, and motivation. However, having too many followers can interfere with individual attention, potentially reducing the sense of connection and intrinsic reward needed to stay highly motivated. The second is the trust of subordinates in the leader. Subordinates' trust in the leader is important to motivated workers who align with shared goals and values, as well as those who find intrinsic satisfaction in their leadership. The trustworthiness of the leader fosters a sense of security and trust in the vision, which in turn strengthens this employee's commitment. These trust-based relationships improve motivation by strengthening the link between personal values, job satisfaction, and leadership guidance. The second reason is the tendency to share more power and decentralized power in organizations. The move towards increased power sharing and decentralization in organization has catalyzed a profound shift in the importance of the leader-employee relationship. As decision-making becomes more decentralized, leaders are forced to foster an atmosphere of trust, mutual respect, and effective communication to facilitate cohesive teamwork and unification of decisions across the board. This evolving dynamic highlights how leaders must now act as facilitators of collaboration. This evolving dynamic highlights how leaders must now act as facilitators of collaboration and influencer of collective direction, redefining their role in guiding and motivating push followers. Another reason is that the increase in complex and fast-loading problems in the organization creates the need for more people tasked with solving them. The rise of complex challenges and rapid organizational change have required more problem solvers, adding to the need for a reconfigured leader-employee relationship. In this context, leaders have a responsibility to create an environment that allows their followers to contribute diverse expertise and ideas, thereby fostering innovation and adaptability. This evolving dynamic emphasizes the leader's role not only in directing but also in harnessing the collective intelligence of his followers to effectively solve complex problems and adapt to change speed. Flexibility and openness. Followers who remain flexible and open to new opportunities can position themselves for leadership roles that may arise unexpectedly. Adapting to change and seeking growth demonstrates leadership qualities. By embracing these approaches, followers can only enhance their own skills and potentials, but also prepare themselves to assume leadership roles in the future. The constructionist approach to understanding followership looks at leadership as a collaborative effort involving both leading and following actions carried out by various individuals, regardless of their informal roles or positions within an organization. This perspective emphasizes the dynamic and reciprocal nature of leadership interactions. Leadership within a specific scenario involves considering how leaders and followers interact within that situation. This interaction serves as the basis for effective leadership, as leaders' choices are influenced by the situation's dynamics and requirements, along with how followers respond and contribute. The situation has a key role in shaping leadership because it encompasses factors like organization's objectives, team composition, task nature, external environment, and more. Various situations require distinct leadership approaches. What succeeds in one context might not be appropriate in another. The ambiguity stems from the absence of one-size-fits-all leadership approach due to the diverse array of situations. This uncertainty can complicate the determination of the most fitting leadership style or action, as strategies that work well in one situation might not produce the same outcomes in another. As a result, leaders must be adaptable and capable of assessing each situation's unique dynamics to make informed decisions. Recognizing the significance of the situational context is crucial for effective leadership, even though it can be the most complex and uncertain aspect of the leadership framework.
Glass cliff refers to a phenomenon where women are more likely to be appointed to leadership positions in organizations that are facing crisis or decline. In these situations, female candidates are selected over equally qualified male candidates, and this can put women in challenging and high-risk roles. The glass cliff concept is similar to the more well-known glass ceiling phenomenon, which refers to the invisible barriers that prevent women from reaching top leadership positions. The interactional framework can be applied to understand the experiences of women in leadership roles, particularly focusing on the challenges posed by the glass cliff phenomenon and the leadership style that many women adopt. It highlights the complex interplay between the organizational dynamics, gender biases, leadership styles, and personal experiences in shaping the landscape of women's leadership roles. Interactive leadership refers to a leadership approach that emphasizes collaboration, communication, and engagement between the leaders and their followers. It's a style of leadership that involves open dialogue, active listening, and the involvement of followers in decision-making processes. This slide suggests that women in leadership roles tend to practice interactive leadership. This approach is thought to develop from women's socialization experiences and their career paths. So there are the factors explaining the shift towards more women in leadership roles. Starting with women themselves have changed. Well, as social norms or societal norms change and women become more empowered, they are increasingly pursuing leadership roles and developing the skills required to excel in them. The next is leadership roles have changed. Traditional notions of leadership have evolved to be more inclusive and diverse. Organizations recognize the value of different perspectives and styles, which has opened up opportunities for women to assume leadership positions. And organizational practices have changed. Well, organizations have started adopting more inclusive policies and practices that supports women's career advancements. This includes initiatives to address gender biases, provide mentorship and sponsorships, and create flexible work arrangements that accommodate diverse leadership styles. And the last is culture has changed. Societal attitudes towards women in leadership roles have changed or shifted. There is a growing recognition of the benefits of gender diversity in leadership teams, leading to cultural changes that encourages and supports women in pursuing leadership roles.
To be an effective leader, it is important to remember that each follower and situation may require a different approach. Leaders must be adaptable and willing to respond differently to any different followers as well as different situations. Followers may also respond differently to different leaders, and two leaders may perceive the same followers or situation differently. Therefore, it's essential to assess each leadership situation on its own merit and not assume that what works in one situation will work in another. The study of the leadership should also consider the followers and situation to have a holistic understanding of the leadership process. Ultimately, effective leadership can make a significant difference, and leaders can enhance their abilities by being aware of the factors that influence the leadership process.